consider me a big shot. What up to Stevie, Mimi, Scrap, yo, I'm on my love and hip-hop. Yes, so solid, it flows through my body. And if you got it, love, I'm told that's where God is. I'm Tyrone Biggins, whenever love is given to be pragmatic. I'm just an addict for your love, I gotta have it. How my problems disappear when love's connected. I never wanna take back an hour, minute, or second. What a blessing, love ain't proud, it ain't rude. Love, it rejoices in telling the truth. Love is so patient, kind, it doesn't envy. Love your friends, love your enemies. I hope this love sink in. Got love for my neighbor, agape phileo. Let me be more convincing. Maybe you can dive in and exegete or censor, dissect the scripture where Bishop we show love. Or if you a sinner, transgender like Bruce Jenner, well, Caitlyn, we show more love. Basic math, don't subtract, divide it. God can take one love, then add or multiply it. Don't wanna swear by it. I promise if you don't have love, your life will be full of the opposite. And that's a big mistake. You trying to demonstrate all love in sync like Justin Timberlake. And that's a big mistake. You trying to demonstrate all love in sync like Justin Timberlake. If it cost $1 million, or if it was free, I love you, you love me. Let's put love together, call it love scene. Love scene, love scene, love scene.
All right. What's going on out there? This is Brother Darrell McGriff with Love Sync Ministries, and this is Love Sessions. And as we always say, our foundational scripture, 1 John 4:8, he that loveth not knoweth not God, for God is love. Y'all need to make sure y'all get that in your spirit. As Country Wayne would say, let that sizzle in your spirit. Again, I welcome you to another show of Love Sessions. And remember, on Facebook, we want you to go ahead and share, like, click the hearts, make sure you comment and all that good stuff. And on YouTube, make sure you do the same thing, share the video, comment, tell folks about it. And most of all, on the YouTube side, I need you guys to subscribe. When you subscribe and watch the videos, you pump me up. And that way we can go ahead and start monetizing this thing, because I want to give that money away to you. I don't want to make money for me. I want to make money for you. So make sure that we get monetized on Facebook and YouTube by liking, subscribing, sharing the videos, watching the videos, everything that you need to do to make it happen so we can get this money away to you. That's what we want to do with all of that good stuff. All right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting ready to bring up one of my guests here. And you have to know this young lady, she just don't give you a piece of her mind. She gives you all of her mind and everything she's thinking of. So put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for Miss Katina Stone Butler. What's going on, young lady?
Man, nothing. What's going on with you?
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's how that goes.
Well, there's that.
Y'all hold up, because it's gonna be a morning. Let me get my seatbelt and put it on and make sure I don't go nowhere, because I know with you at the helm, boy, we're gonna be going 100 miles an hour.
You so crazy.
So like I do all my shows, I got to start off with the 5 questions just to get everything flowing, get your mind going and stuff. So first of all, where were you born?
I was born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, in a community by the name of Orange Mound. It's the first African-American community in the United States that was actually created specifically to be an African-American community. And it's even older than Harlem. So Orange Mound.
Get a history lesson along with it. All right then. And what's your favorite food and drink?
Well, my favorite drink right now is aloe vera juice. So I'm doing somewhat of a fast, a modified fast, and so with my family and my extended family in Memphis, and so we're doing like a family fast and Bible study, and to stay connected, and because of COVID. And so I'm drinking lots of aloe vera juice. And my favorite food is this mixture of sesame sticks, raisins, almonds, and banana chips that I have right here.
Mhm. Okay. All right. And what's your favorite TV show?
My favorite, I really don't watch TV, but I'll tell you what, I really love this new show called Lovecraft Country.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That show was crazy, but it was so like Black affirming, and I love that. It was like so powerful in so many ways, but then it was just like nuts, of course, because it was like sci-fi. But
Right.
have you seen it?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I watched it. I'm on it. Yep. See it. And that's how it got me, because I'm a sci-fi fan anyway. So they mixed everything that I like together.
Right. It was insane. Like I really don't even have any description. Like, but I love like that they took it back, spoiler alert to the Tulsa riots, and they tied in like African American history and music and culture and all that kind of stuff. It was really powerful.
Right.
So
And
that's latest favorite TV show.
what's your favorite hobby or pastime?
My favorite hobby, because I'm so busy, is just sitting at the house. Like it's nothing. Like I am so busy all the time that I literally just like to be at home, cook, clean, and hang out with my family. Yep. Ride my bike. I got a tricycle that I be rolling around the city. So yeah, that's it.
And if you do have one, what's your favorite sports team?
The Steeler Nation.
Oh man.
That's it.
Well,
yeah.
I wouldn't be saying something too loud for what they did, but
Don't be trying to claim. Who's your favorite sports team?
Hey, once that went down, we knew the season was over, so it don't even make no difference.
Right. Hey, no shade from no Cowboys.
Hey, y'all should have did something. Y'all should have did something. Good grief, but that's all right. If you're gonna go, show out.
Okay, bro.
All right, so that's ready. We're ready to get into the nitty gritty now. So the thing that I ask everybody is, and I changed up the question a little bit doing the shows, but what I ask everybody now, when did you first get saved? And then when did you first really start taking the word serious?
Well, it's like a really interesting story, but I don't think that I became saved like in one instant. I think it was like a process of working out my salvation. But from a very early age, as early as I can remember, I was very aware of the Lord and just, communicating with the Lord. I was the only child, so I talked to God a lot. I was the only child for like, the first 6 or so years of my life. So as a little kid, I talked to God just like, like my best friend. Like if I was, eating, I'd be like, "You want some?" I was like, I had this wild imagination. My family raised me in the church. My great grandmother was an amazing Christian woman. And she was our matriarch on my mom's side. And, she was always talking about the Lord. She was always reading her Bible. She was an usher, every Sunday dressing in her white. And I just was always aware of the Lord. I was baptized when I was 11 in our family church that I grew up in. But I would say, and then there was a complicated relationship for like from the age of 11 until like, let me see, like probably in my early 20s, it was like, I was in the church wasn't in me, and just being so young and having so many questions. But I love the Lord. I was fascinated by God. I love Bible stories. I love to read. And so I've always had like this fascination with the Lord. Um, and when I was in my early 20s, I got married and was pregnant with my oldest son. And that's when, like, because I was like always a busy bee, overachiever, involved in so many things in school, just busy, busy, busy. But when I got pregnant, I had to, quiet myself in a way that I wasn't accustomed to. And so that's when I would say that I really met the Lord, um and just like my relationship with God went to a whole nother place because I was like really dependent upon him. I had some complications in pregnancy. We were 500 some miles away from family. We're in Texas. We're in North Texas, like you are. And so my dependence on the Lord became like intensified in my awareness of like how big he is and how small I am. And so it was in my mid to late mid 20s, because I was 25 when I had my oldest son. So it was then that my relationship really, really flourished, and everything that I had learned and growing up in the church, that it became my personal reality versus like, going to church, because you raised to do that. So, yeah.
Okay. And so you got married at what age?
I was 25 when I got married. I was young.
Okay. And then now was your husband in church too, or was he was slowly coming along?
He probably had about the same testimony as I did. He grew up in the church. But like I said, us being newly married with a new baby, that's where our, relationship with the Lord really like took root. So,
Okay. So what I like to ask people then is, okay, so now that you getting serious with God, so now that you're walking, so I always ask people, now that you got serious in your faith, how did that help you as a person? Also, part two is dealing with your husband. How did that relationship change now that you're serious? So how did it, once you got serious, so how did you make the change? What change did you see? And then what change did you see in your marriage?
Well, and we joined like when we together before we got married. And so but yeah, as far as what changes we saw, it was like just this process of just growing. Like we're still growing. We've been married for 23 years, and we're still just growing and discovering things about ourselves and learning things about the Lord. Like it's a marathon, not a sprint. But I mean, just being able to depend on the Lord and realize that our marriage was rooted in something that was beyond us, and our preferences, and and it's nothing like it's a trip, because like being married, you really have to sacrifice. There's a lot of sacrifice that's required, and a lot of dying to self. And we've been married for 23 years, so we've seen a lot. So
there, how do you think? So is there a difference in your growth, in your maturity in the word, like I said, that helps you with, like decisions that you make, and then, like I said, then your relationship between you and your husband?
Oh, absolutely. And just throughout our marriage, like in the beginning, I would say that he, because I was so preoccupied with pregnancy, and I was growing in the Lord, like as an individual, and he was kind of leading us out spiritually. But then there was a period where, extensive period where I kind of was leading us spiritually, didn't desire to do so, because I do believe in biblical headship. But my husband, now it's weird because like we just kind of take turns. Like there's periods where, or there's situations where I'm more mature, there's situations where he's more mature. And now our circumstances, like even since COVID, he's like reading his Bible every single day, praying every day. And I mean, not that he didn't read his Bible and pray before, but like he's had some stillness in his life that's really allowed him to like flourish in the Lord, and just kind of be quiet and still in the Lord. So we alternate, like, you know, and that's what a marriage is. Everybody doesn't have, both people aren't always in the same place at the same time. And so you're able to lean on each other for the strengths that the other person may have, or when you may be going through something in your marriage, or you may be going through something personally, and you are able to lean on that person because they're stronger in a certain area. It's like a give and take.
Okay. So now you like you said, and most people, when we walk this walk and go to church and everything else, everybody know that most people say, hey, you know, the man is the head of the household, the spiritual leader of the household. So when you say, okay, I had to step up and lead. So since you had to step up and lead, but the church is telling you, well, hey, the man is the head of the household, you're supposed to follow him, da da da. So when you had to step up and lead, did you feel some type of way about it, or did you like, hey, I have to do what I have to do?
Well, I mean, when there's still times that I do lead because we're, you know, partners. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't assume his role as the head of the house. And even as he was even as I had to like stand in the gap for some things, I really am, you know, and I hate to use this word, but I really am a strong woman. But that like him being who he's supposed to be does not undermine me. It builds me up. And so I was constantly pushing him to be like, you supposed to be running this, like you supposed to be doing this, that, and the other. Like, what do you think the Lord is telling you? Like, I do a lot, you know, as an artist, as an advocate, as an activist, but I have zero problems with, you know, a man being who he's supposed to be in the Lord and assuming his role of headship. And that doesn't mean that I become subservient or second class. It's a partnership and with different roles. And I love to just reside in that space where we're operating as a couple according to the word of the Lord. So many times people, they have misused and misrepresented the scriptures to demean women and to even pigeonhole men and put them in, you're supposed to be the man, you know, put them in spaces that they're not supposed to be in. The Bible has been used for misogyny. It's been used for all kinds of craziness in the church. But if you actually read the scriptures, you see throughout the scriptures, God elevates women, and he uses, you know, the testimony of so many women, so many amazing women as examples during the time of the Bible. And so a lot of stuff that people in the American church specifically has put on women being submissive is really abusive. But that's not what the Bible is calling for. So I have zero problems with assuming leadership when I need to, because there's some things that I'm just stronger in. And him assuming leadership and being the head of the household, I don't have a problem with it. I think that most women would probably say that, you know, they don't have a problem with you know, men being the head of the house if they're assuming the role according to the scriptures.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Because like you say, you know, a lot of people can't relate to it like that. And like I said, if the man is not leading, then you're right, because if the man is not leading, then they will make him feel a certain kind of way. And then, like I said, if the women or the woman is taking the lead, like I said, at that time when the man is not where he needs to be, then they make you feel a certain way. So, you know, I can hear what you're saying about how taking scripture out of context or just interpreting it the wrong way can diminish what the word really says about where you're supposed to be and how you're supposed to help one another. So I'm with you on that one right there. So now, as men and women of faith, and you have 3 boys, right?
Yeah, we have 3 boys.
So in each of your roles as mother and father, how do you think your walk with God influences, or what do you want it to influence on your boys as they're growing up as men and as they're looking for a wife?
Well, as a woman and as a Black woman specifically, I want my boys to know that women don't exist to, you know, to be subservient to them. Like I pray for my sons' wives, even like when I was pregnant and when they were babies, I've been praying for their wives. And one thing that I hold myself responsible for is raising up, you know, helping my husband to raise up men that would be sensitive and caring towards women and men who would fight for women. And specifically for African American women, regardless of who my children marry, their daughters are going to be Black women. And with how Black women have been treated by society and have been deemed by society, it's important to me to leave a legacy where my sons are stand up for women and love them beyond being objects. And so my husband started teaching our boys how to do their own laundry when they were 6 because you're not getting married, you know, to have a cook and a maid. So they still do their own laundry. They have to keep their rooms clean and they learn how to cook. And they're able to step into a marriage being self-sufficient, not thinking that somebody's supposed to do do a certain set of things for them because they are men, but also being aware of women's issues and knowing how to champion a woman, because that's what Jesus did. You know, the Bible says that, you know, it commands husbands to love their wives like Christ loved the church. And that's another scripture that's so, you know, they skip over that to get to, you know, wives submit to your husbands. And there's not a lot of true biblical headship that's going on in this world. And even now with this generation that they don't, you know, kids don't like as kids, for example, we learn at an early age how to interact with other people and like with people of the opposite sex. Kids nowadays, because of technology, which technology can be good and it can be bad. There's a study that says that like boys, for example, they don't know how to interact with girls as well. And a lot of it has to do with technology for many reasons. And so just for me, I speak for myself, raising my boys to be sensitive and caring, but also just knowing who they are, not being defined by toxic masculinity, but being defined by biblical masculinity. One thing that I'm grateful for from my husband is that, you know, hold on. Oh, Lord.
What happened? I still see you.
Oh, my computer went off.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, my timeout screen. But one thing that I really appreciate about my husband is that he is very comfortable with who I am. People think that just because he's quieter and I'm a stronger personality, that, you know, I'm at the house just running, you know, just like cracking a whip or whatever. But he's not intimidated by my ability. He's very supportive of what I do. He operates differently when it comes to manhood. So my boys have a really good model that's rooted in that biblical manhood. And so I'm really encouraged by that because there's a lot of cycles that need to be broken. And that's the big thing. My boys know that they need to, you know, love and care for women and not see them as objects and not see them as things that, need to serve them and do for them, that they need to bring something valuable into those relationships and learn how to be self-sufficient. Like if a girl comes to your house, your house need to be clean because you cleaned it. And saying like you need to know care of yourself, because it's not there to take care of you, but you're not there to be a superhero to a woman, because that's another issue that boys have, is that they think that they are supposed to be superheroes and save the day, and a lot of times will gravitate towards women with certain issues because they want to be able to be this superhero. And the same thing for women, a lot of times they'll gravitate to men that they can fix. And so wanting to just alleviate all of that and just allow two people to come together as two people and appreciate each other for what the other person has and what the other person has to offer, just because, not because I need something from this.
Exactly. All right. So now let's get into this other topic here, because when I was putting it out and I put on there gospel artist, said, don't call me no doggone gospel artist. I ain't no gospel artist. I'm a slinger. I sings. That's what I do. So
Okay.
let's talk about that. So go ahead. Tell them why you don't want to just be called a gospel singer.
Well, there's a few things to it. One, I have a very diverse musical background. I grew up in music. My dad was a quartet singer. He was a musician. He played guitar. He sang, played drums, played trumpet, sang in the glee club. He grew up, he sang spirituals and all kinds of different styles of music. And growing up in Memphis, I was exposed to so many different styles of music. Of course, we have like Stax Records, Isaac Hayes, like we have all these music greats, Elvis, all these music greats, blues singers, and Memphis has such a tremendous like musical heritage. And of course, gospel is a part of that because we got, Memphis is known to have a church on every corner. And so I grew up like, I studied, I'm classically trained, studied classical music, sang at churches all over Memphis. Different denominations. It was just crazy. Like the experience that I was able to have. I've sang backup for various artists. I sang backup for Joe Cocker, guy who sang "Bow with the
Where we belong."
Right.
It wasn't too hard to oversing him. No, just kidding.
I sang backup for him. I sang hymns. I performed for Maya Angelou. I have had a really diverse background. And I had a diverse background I went to a performing arts high school. My choir teacher, she exposed us to so much. And then my middle school teacher was like really close to her. So I just was exposed to a lot. And there was no, you weren't this or that. You were just a singer. You weren't a gospel singer. You weren't a pop singer. You weren't if you could sing, you could just sing. So I sang musical theater. I sang opera. I wore powdered wigs and performed, and sang in Italian and sang in German and Spanish and all those things. And so my voice, to me, like I grew up in a foot stomping, missionary Baptist church, and I have that foundation and that experience. But my voice, I would say vocally, I am not a gospel singer. When I think about a gospel singer, I think about people that have a certain vocal stylistic, and not that they couldn't sing anything else, but they have like a primary style that a way that they sing. And gospel music is like really a craft. Yes, we all, you and I, we grew up in the church, and it's second nature to us. But to be an actual gospel singer, I believe that it requires a certain skill set. And I do okay, but I identify more with just being a vocalist. I had a vocal studio for a while, taught voice, do vocal coaching, was a choir director myself. and still am a choir director, worship leader. And I'm really hesitant to label myself because too, another thing is like this industry of music and genres and how everything is so pigeonholed into a genre. And honestly, the gospel music industry at this present time, I'm not overly impressed with. I'm not really impressed with any genres industry right now because a lot of it is just like, I mean, I don't know. Like anybody can be anything from their bedroom with their studio in their bedroom. Like nobody really has to do the hard work anymore. Nobody has to come up and make connections with the folks from the old school. Like the way I came in music, I studied with like some of these old blues singers that were real well known in our city, and you kind of had to be humble. Like if they threw you a bone, not that you had to grovel at their feet, but like it meant something to pay that respect to people who came up before you and did that work that you don't even have to do because they've laid that foundation. So respect was a big thing, but now anybody can do anything in the quality. Like it's like everybody's a singer, everybody's a rapper,
Yeah.
everybody's a gospel artist, everybody's a comedian, and it's because of social media and because and people get to bypass the process. Now the good thing is that there's a lot of opportunities for young folks now that didn't exist then. So there's more opportunities for entrepreneurship, and there's a lot of opportunities to do well and be successful without having to go through some of these industries, these white-owned industries that were the gatekeepers keep us out. So we're able to bypass, like we don't have to sign a record label. We could be an independent artist. And because of technology, we can get our product out to people that will enjoy what we do. But then some of the bad things about that is that, just the process of relationship and social skills and growing in your craft. Like if everybody if everybody's good, but everybody's the same age and in the same place, and they all good to each other, it doesn't matter. It matters like, so for gospel music, it matters if Shirley Caesar thinks you good. You know what I'm saying? It matters if Yolanda Adams or, somebody like that is like, okay, it's like this process that's eliminated, this passing the baton that's eliminated.
Yeah.
But also there's so much garbage in all these industries right now. And a lot of it, because of, these independent artists that are able to rise up, a lot of it has been exposed. We've seen all of these exposés where record labels were stealing from folk and taking it. Like there's so much nuance. It is so much to it. And it's like good and bad and all of it. But I just, and then this is one of the biggest reasons why I don't want to be labeled as a gospel singer is because church folks can be so mean, hateful, and raggedy. And they will go out and listen to whatever ratchet artist that's out there. They will be, doing all the Busted Challenge and dancing to Megan Thee Stallion and all that. And I don't have no problem with Megan Thee Stallion. I'm just, for example. But then if you say you're a gospel artist, then they holding you to this standard that they don't hold themselves to. And so it's like you become it's almost like you become priests. It's like priests are held to this standard, but then I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. But if I see the priest out doing whatever, if I see them, having a drink, or if I see them listening to a secular song, I'm gonna just go wild on them. So I don't even want to deal with that expectation. Like I refuse to deal with any expectation of anybody. Like I'm gonna be, true to what I feel like the Lord is doing through me. And not that I'm not accountable to people, because there are people in my circle that, that I feel like I can look to as mentors that know more than me, that's gonna put me in check, but it's not gonna be, all the YouTubers and the bloggers and because I don't care. Like I have community that holds me accountable. And I believe also that a lot of gospel music artists, they're not a part of local churches. They go, you know, they be on this chitlin circuit and they be going from church to church to church for the highest dollar. But and so there's like a there's like a loss of having real roots. Because, you know, back in the day, gospel artists, they went to a church and they, you know what I'm saying? And they may sing at another church or, you know, but they had roots. It's just like, there's so, I could go on and on. There's so many issues that contribute to what the problems in like the gospel music industry specifically, but in music overall. But then too, like people expecting, you know, musicians to do what they do for free.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but raising up people in the church that can play and then pimping them for the highest dollar. But then, you know, overpaying people because they want to hold on to, like, I need this musician because they got these credentials. It's just this circular, like vicious, like cycle, and there's a bunch of issues that contribute to it. And I don't have anything to prove to anybody. Like my resume speaks for itself. I'm not a hollering, screaming person. I don't do a lot of hooping and hollering. I admire people that have that gift, but I'm not trying to like, I went to school for music and I don't have to impress anybody. My resume speaks for itself. My repertoire speaks for itself. And, you know, I find that like a lot of gospel artists, for example, you know, I sing contemporary Christian music sometimes. Like I just do what I want to do, what I feel led to do. So I've sang with white artists a lot, and I sang with Black artists a lot. But I find that like a lot of gospel artists can't sing contemporary Christian because and a lot of contemporary Christian artists can't sing gospel. You know, like on the contemporary Christian side, they only got 4 chords. On the gospel side, it's like it's vocal gymnastics, you know. So it's like I can be over here, I can be over here, I can be in the opera theater, I can sing the Black national anthem from a like opera, I can sing it like gospel, I can sing like, you know, and I'm satisfied. You know, I don't know, very long answer, and it's very complex and nuanced.
Right.
But did that make sense? Like that's my
well, as somebody who's been in the entertainment business myself for a long time, I know a lot of what you're talking about, both with the artists and going into studios and then trying to get them out there. And so I've been across that whole gamut, and I understand. And like you said, since we are of the darker complexion, so we dealt with darker complected churches, and they have that bad mentality of do it unto the Lord. So they want you to sing. And if you're supposed to be a so-called gospel artist, then you don't get the support that you need from them because they always want you to come sing for free. So how can you say, well, I'm a gospel artist, spread the good news, but then there were some churches that they was like trying to be the manager of the artist because they sung in their church. So unless the church got paid for that artist to go there, and then they break them off a little something, it's like, well, wait a minute, you're not my manager. You didn't go in the studio. You ain't paid for nothing, but you're gonna, like you said, you're gonna pimp me out to another church, and I ain't got nothing to say about it. Yeah, that don't make no sense.
It's a lot of pimp out going on. Period.
Yeah. And right, and then again, then when you're trying to do something on your own, then everybody wants you to come and do it for free. Okay, well, how am I supposed to make a living being a gospel artist if every time I come, you want me to do unto the Lord? Can you do it for free? Can you, sister, can you? No, I can't do it for free. I can't make a living. I remember back in the day when Kirk Franklin didn't go on the stage because he didn't get the rest of his money. Then they say, well, I guess I see why you sing. Yeah, he sing because he got to pay himself. He got to pay that band. He got to pay the rest of them singers. He got to pay that bus they were traveling on. So you can't go around singing for free and you trying to make a living at it. So the mindset of the church had to really catch up, because I remember in the 90s when I was working with the gospel rap group. And we couldn't even get in black churches back in the 90s. They were like, that's the devil's music. God ain't in it. Da, 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 da. But the white churches were like, hey, come on, talk. Hey, come speak to our youth. Let them hear what you got to say. So yeah, it was just bad all the way around. And I get what, even though I was, messing with you earlier about the gospel artist thing, but if you play the drums, the bass, the guitar, the organ, when you go to another church, they don't say, oh, here coming to the church is gospel organist, gospel bassist, gospel lead guitar, gospel whatever. They don't say that then.
Right. They just be singer or bass player, trumpet. And it's so funny because I know you have, you've managed so many people. It's just like it's a double-edged sword. It's like it's a double-edged sword. And the expectations that we put on black artists, we would not put on white artists. And we'll pay all the money in the world to go see a secular artist or go see a white artist, but then you want a nickel and dime. But that's how we treat black businesses too. Like black, they got to be perfect. And it's like black businesses, sometimes they're dealing with distribution places that treat them bad because they're black, like the beauty industry, for example. We got a beauty supply store here where I live, and like it's run primarily by another culture. You know what I'm saying? They have all the beauty supply stores, and they are the beauty suppliers, and they rule the industry. And like this guy is a good guy from our community. He be having a hard time, you know what I'm saying? And then people want to come in and nickel and dime, and you should expect to pay a little bit more if you helping this brother out, because the obstacles that they are facing. Now, as a singer, I don't expect, like there are churches that I have that I will sing for whatever they give me because I have a relationship with them, and they have helped to raise me up in the word. They have invested in me. So it's like their family, and that's at my discretion. Right. But everybody else, you know what I'm saying? I expect to be compensated. But it's weird because why should a singer not, or a musician not be expected to be compensated? Mm-hmm. Or anybody that's bringing a service to your business or your church or your organization, but the pastors will get top dollar. It's like, but then sometimes they be ripping pastors off too. Like if you're not that big name, they're gonna want to give you $2. So it's just like I said, it's a double-edged sword. There's so many layers, and we culturally, and I'm not talking about black culture per se. I'm saying culturally, like we created this monster, right? And it's like, I don't know how that's how it's supposed to shift and change and be what it's about what it's actually supposed to be about. I don't know what it's gonna take.
Well, I know what it's gonna take, but that's a whole different show. I ain't gonna get into that though. But yeah, and I'm hoping that with the emergence of now more black mega churches, that they would start paying the artists what they know that they deserve, because you understand as a mega church the bills and everything that you have to pay and what you need to make everything run right. Then when an artist comes to your church to sing, or you bring an artist in, that you don't nickel and dime and play with them because you know what it takes. So hopefully that changes. Now the smaller churches, if they small, they ain't gonna be able to do too much anyway, because they're not taking up big, $10,000-$20,000 offers each Sunday and stuff. So, it's something that you can work with.
But here's the thing too. This is what I think would just level things. And I think that smaller churches, and I think that churches in general, should pull from the pool that they have. Mm-hmm. Why do you need to bring celebrities? Mm-hmm. You invest in and train up and raise up the people that's in your congregation that are right there sitting in your pews studying the word. Like churches have an opportunity to really influence like a culture of musicians by loving them well. Wow. And investing in them. Like it's an insult, and I've sang at big churches. I've sang, I sang before a crowd of 20,000 people before. All expense paid, all that stuff. But and that was more for like, it was like a college Bible study that became really, really famous called Breakaway. But over at Texas A&M. But so that's even different because that's not a church, that's a ministry. But I've seen where people will have gifts right there in their congregation, but feel like they need to chase the latest and greatest. One, if you got to struggle to pull them coins together for somebody, why don't you take a fraction of those coins and get voice lessons and pour into the people that's there? Like, just because that's what you should do. Like, stir up the gifts that are right there in front of you. Why do you need to pay to see or pay to bring this person to your church? To me, that's a lack of stewardship. Now, if you're a church where you're loving on your people and you're caring for your people and you're creating opportunities for your people to grow, and you're able to afford to bring people in, then by all means, you know what I'm saying? And look, I ain't nobody. I'm just spitting how I feel. But if you're a smaller church, so many times now, because of the mega church mentality, smaller churches will really kill themselves trying to have, like, it's like, speak those things as that are not as though they were, which another scripture blown out of context, right? Because speaking those things that are not, or faking it till you make it, that's not what that scripture means. And that's faking it till you make it is a lie. So why don't you invest in what you have? Start off with these, and maybe those resources aren't in your church. Like, because a lot of times, small churches, they could pay for lessons for people. They could pay for musician lessons. Like, remember growing up in the church, how the musicians would take the younger people and they see a gift in them, and then those young people would study with them, and then the younger see. We don't do that anymore. Everybody just bypasses that whole process and goes and tries to get the famous person, and it's like, why? Because that person gonna come, take your money and go about the business. And why can't you just develop but everybody wants that radio quality sound. Everybody wants that, you know what I'm saying? They want that perfection. They want that. It's like, let people grow into their gifts and support them. Because what happens is a lot of musicians get burnt out. And I've been through that. I know musicians that are some of the most amazing, like, musicians you will ever hear. And one day they decided they just weren't going to sing and they weren't going to pick up an instrument. Ministers of music who served in churches for like 20 years or 10 years, you know what I'm saying? And just let churches just drag them all over the place, singing here, playing 2 and 3 services a day, jumping up, leaving it because they have to work a full-time job as well as, get them little coins that the church give them. And they get so burnt out that they stop. I know so many people like that like amazingly gifted, but so disgusted with how they've been treated by the local churches.
Right.
It's crazy.
And we just, and like I said, what I want people to always know and understand that when we speak opinions on here, we're not downing anybody or judging anybody or anything like that. This is just what we either experienced or seen, and we know, and we're just saying these things to hope that, as it says, love sink, that you will sync yourself up back with God, aka love, and show love to those children of God, like you say, that's right there in front of you. Invest in them, show them God, aka love, and help them. Because what you don't understand, just like you said earlier, if I invest in you because I see that you can sing and you have that it factor, and I put you up there in front and people are starting to see you sing, but instead of having you run all over the place, burning out, like you said, singing for everybody, but I nurture you in a way that you can maximize your potential as a singer.
Yeah.
You do blow up. Well, if you blow up, well, guess what, church? You're going to come to, like you said, for free and do stuff to help us to make more money. Or if you blow up, then I know it might be some $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 tithes offering coming from you. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But we don't, like I said, we don't think like that. We don't look at what we have in front of us. We don't show love, aka God, to the thing that's right there with us. We're trying to do something else, and we miss out on the whole thing altogether. Yeah.
You know, we got to have the latest, greatest preacher when, you know, somebody, the Lord may be pouring, because who knows the local church like the local people. Mm-hmm. And you sitting up in the pews, and they be serving their hearts out and never get an opportunity to, you know, just use their gifts in the church, because everybody wants the latest and greatest. But see, congregations are guilty. A lot of times congregations are the ones that, like, just this whole, man, they like I said, we've created a lot of these monsters that we're seeing. We've created a lot of these issues. And like I say, everybody wants that studio quality sound. Well, the church may not have studio quality equipment. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, God doesn't desire all of that. Like, he literally, yes, you know, there's something to be said about excellence, but I feel like we overuse and overstate that word excellence. And we've made church like a chitlin circuit. Like, we got to have this going on, that going on, this going on. And it's like, we forsaken the word, we forsaken love, you know, we forsaken love being in sync. We've lost our first love, which is the gospel. And we've made everything like a show.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's correct. And then, like, so here's another issue. When people they branch off and they do stuff, they may serve at their church, and they have a fire to, like, have a podcast or have a show. Well, then folks be acting shady and don't want to support them. You know, I mean, it's just crazy. It's just really crazy.
And here's the thing. So we're probably going to change now, because this pandemic changed a lot of things, and the church is seeing things that, like, oh, you know, and it's one of them things, like, since this pandemic, and as a church or a ministry, whatever, that's supposed to be putting God, aka love, first, hopefully now you're going to see that you need to get back to doing what you was called to do in the first place. And if after this you can't do what you're supposed to do, I don't know what to say for you after this, you know what I'm saying? But this should wake a lot of people up and bring them on back. So speaking of waking people up, let's wake them up to this right here. So talk to me, what's this all about?
So KB Uncomplicated, well, the Fountain is an organization that I have. I'm a local activist, and I love serving Black women and women of color. And so the Fountain is an organization I started. It all kind of started around my kitchen table. A small group of young women would come to my house, and we were a group of women that we would sing at the big conferences, speak at the big conferences. And a lot of times, you know, there was this whole movement of, oh, we want to have Black people come and, you know, show that we are racial reconciliation, you know, pursuing racial reconciliation. So we would be the same handful of folk going to all the different places. It's a small circle. And so there's a group that was local, that was, you know, DFW, and we would see each other and we would end up singing together, or, you know, somebody would be speaking or whatever. And we just formed a friendship, and we would come together and we would do, you know, I would cook it up. We'd be, you know, cutting up like, you know, Black women know how to do, listen to our music, and just really, like, even just weeping, lamenting, crying out to God, you know, just feeling, you know, because Black women, there's an invisibility where people use us, you know, for the aesthetics. They want, you know, I say they want our lips, hips, and fingertips, but they don't want nothing else. They don't want this pain. They don't want, you know, they don't want this. They want the glory, but not the story. And so we would just gather, and it would be some of the best times. Like, we would be up to 1 o'clock in the morning. Like, everybody dozing, trying not to doze off because we ain't want to leave, because just being in each other's presence, praying, you know, prophesying over each other, like it was just powerful. And I would be like, we need to give this to other Black women, because surely we're not the only ones. And we would be talking to issues that were, you know, specific to Black women. And many in the group were single, and ranged from like, you know, late 20s at the time to 40s. And so there was an incident that occurred that was kind of like, it was a national incident. I'm not going to go into detail. And we were all involved, because we were present and we were in attendance, and we were serving in this capacity with this organization. And then there was something explosive that happened with how someone was treated, a Black woman was treated. So it went off like pew in the news media like pew, and it was like we addressed things that we had been saying all along, you know. And we of course supported this Black woman that was affected and was hurt, who was a national figure. I'm trying to say this without going off. She was a national figure, and she was a Black woman who would be on the news media. She would be speaking out for Black women, speaking out against racism, and they're ready to have a Black woman on stage until it's time to have a Black woman on stage. And then when a Black woman say what you don't want to hear, then it's like, let's try to shut her down. Well, you shouldn't have invited her in the first place, because what you think she was going to do, like what you think she was going to do. And she did nothing that was out of character. She did everything she did was biblical, amazing woman of God, theologian, seminary taught, like amazing woman of God. And so there was this big crazy thing that happened. It was all in like the Christian media. Oh my gosh, it was a mess. But what happened was a lot of Black women were hurt behind it. And so I, along with my little group of women, we had an event where it was at a sister's house who went to Oak Cliff Bible Fellowship. It was like out there in Duncanville. This sister had this like really nice house, massive like piece of land, and she let us use her house to minister to the Black women, because when this whole thing exploded, it was like everything and everybody mattered except for the Black women who were in attendance, you know, who got hurt behind stuff that we had been saying the whole time in the first place. I don't know if this makes sense, but anyway, what ends up happening is we had this event, and we just we like vetted it to where it's like, if you attended this event, you know, reach out. And they reached out and they would answer a few questions. And we were specific that, you know, it was for women of color, Black women, women of color. And there were about 30, 40 women. It got talked about in the Dallas Morning News. It's crazy. There were about 30, 40 women, and it was very like discreet. You know, we made sure to keep the space safe. We had Black woman cater, we had music, we had prayer, we had worship, and we just began to minister over the pain, you know, because there was just a lot of hurt that was in the room. And I mean, the stuff that came forth, like even just like it was weeping, wailing, just people sharing, testifying, sharing their experiences, women who were sharing stories of abuse that you would imagine were abused because they had the highest degrees, and they, you know, it was just really crazy. So that was the moment that this organization was formed. And so my heart just became to create safe spaces for Black women and to uplift Black women via the intersection of culture, creativity, culture, faith, and creativity. I want Black women to be able to see themselves above and beyond like marginalization and oppression. I want them to be able to imagine their possibilities. Like if it's something like crazy that nobody else is thinking about, and they may even think that you're crazy for doing it, like starting an organization for Black women, then we wanted to be able to create this space to encourage Black women. And what's crazy is that my staff at the time, like, were all white women. So it was crazy because I had so much support from white people and white women specifically, that did a lot of the legwork behind the scenes because they really believed in what I was doing. And so it was a unifying work. And that's what happens when you love the least of these. The least of these in America is the Black woman, period. Like when we look at the statistics of sexual abuse, when we look at the statistics of 75,000 Black girls and women missing right now, and it's crazy because I have this music experience. And so I put on a concert because I went through my own personal journey a couple of years ago. And I was like, what does it look like to live an uncomplicated life in a complex world? And that's where KB Uncomplicated. KB is my initials, Katina Butler. KB Uncomplicated. I was just at this point in my life, and I basically, God gave me the opportunity to he gave me the opportunity to live out this, like live out this this vision for this organization. Like how ministering to me and me ministering to myself and going through this process set me up to love Black women to go through the same. And so this logo was created by an amazing Black woman and a white gentleman who helps me do like marketing and branding. And I did a concert, and I had original music. I had a very diverse band. I had white men, Black men, Hispanic. Like it was just crazy, like the diversity that's come out of it. Because I'm serving Black women, but it's been amazing seeing how many people from all these different cultures have come together. And so I had a staff of about my first big concert. I had a staff of about 30 to 50 volunteers. And they gave everything it was just mind blowing. They gave money, time, talent, treasure. We put this concert on. Black women were front and center. I sang over them, wept over them, spoke to, like we had spoken word, we had poetry, we had everything. We had merchandise. It was crazy. And then that was in the end of 2019. And in 2020, I was going to do it again, but of course, COVID had hit. And so everything is kind of on pause. And I'm finding ways to love Black women, through COVID, like that need help, single moms, donating, like just supporting secretly, because, the Lord rewards you openly when you do things with discretion. And so the organization is operating differently right now because of COVID. And I don't feel the need necessarily to jump on and try to do a virtual event. I just kind of quieted myself, but the Lord has given me opportunity to love on women Black women in a different way. But that's like the long-winded version of what that is.
Well, I'll tell you what, we see right there that you have the fountain .space. So now is that the way they can, as far as that organization goes, that's how they can sign up or get involved or whatever the case may be on that?
Yeah, they can go to the fountain.space and basically sign up. I'm doing it's just weird because of course COVID has impacted me as well. And so things are slow, but I have a podcast and then that just happened last year. And it's called Black History for White People. God just kind of has me kind of spread out all over the place with my interest in the things that I'm doing. But we have about 12,000 followers, and we do an episode every other week. And it's basically simple, just kind of talk about the real issues. And there are two white gentlemen that I do the podcast with, Brad and Garen. And we just sit and talk about what's going on, and we talk about history, and we talk about the Bible because all three of us are Christian. Mm-hmm. I do the podcast. I've been writing, doing some articles. I have a Christian organization that asked me to, write sometimes for them. I guest on podcasts. I do music stuff, just really carefully considering COVID. And so if you want to get involved, you just sign up at the Fountain, www.thefountain.space, the place where you can, subscribe and kind of follow. You can also follow on Instagram. It's Katina DSB. You can look up Katina Stone Butler on Instagram, and there I'll be.
All right. Then if something, or if it starts, get my lips together. If it does start opening up for singing and speaking engagements, do they go to the same spot, or is there something else they can reach you on that part?
They would go to the same spot, and I'm actually working on some music right now. I have some original music, and I'm working on like a individual project. I want it to be like a visual album as well as a uh, like a audio, and it hopefully that'll come to fruition in the next few months. I'm just kind of waiting on the Lord to see what He does, but yeah, that's what.
All right, cool. Well, hey, I sure enough appreciate you hanging out with me.
Yeah.
And giving us all your info and what's going on in your life in the whole 9 yards. So everybody know about now KB Uncomplicated. They know about Black History for White Folks. They know about where they can get you to come speak and sing. And if they want to get a piece of your mind, they know where to find you now.
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, one more time, put your hands together for KBS. That's what I call her. Katrina Stone Butler. So you make sure y'all check her out, and I'll catch up with you later, girlfriend.
All right, sir. Always. Right. You take care.
You too. All right, guys. So like we said, that is Miss Katrina Stone Butler, KBS as I call her. So y'all make sure y'all jump on all her social media platforms, catch up with her. The KBU Uncomplicated sounds like something real nice for the women to get a hold of. So y'all make sure y'all do that on the fountain.space. And like she said, on there you can get a hold of her for all the other things about her also. So like we said, on the show, make sure on the Facebook you you hit the little heart button, you leave comments, and you also share. On the YouTube side, do all the stuff it says to do on YouTube. But the main thing on the YouTube is I need you guys to watch these videos, go back, look at the old episodes of Love Sessions, go back and look at Love Talk with me and the wife. Start viewing these videos, start hitting the notification to get notifications when the videos are playing, and also make sure you hit that subscribe button. And I need y'all to put it on public so I can see you for when we get the money going and we start giving out the money. I need to be able to see who it is that I'm going to get the money to. So make sure you put it on public when you do the subscription for the Love Sync Ministries. Until next time, this has been Brother John McGriff with Love Sync Ministries, Love Sessions. What do we say? We need you guys to walk in love. And why is that? Because you might be the only love that anybody sees all day, all year, some people all their lives. So until next time, you guys walk in love.